Kingdom Hall is...
Hi, I just have a quick question I was wondering if someone could help me with.
Sure.
Do you have time?
I do have a moment, yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know if a moment is long enough, but I was reading on the JW.org website because some witnesses told me about it, and I found that part where they really have a lot of stuff. It's called Online Library.
Right.
It's really cool because you can kind of go back and examine the origins of the religion, and although you can't go all the way back, but they start around 1950, I guess. But I was reading about Jesus choosing them in 1919.
I'm sorry, say that last part again. Jesus doing
that
what?
Jesus chose them in 1919 after inspecting all the religions.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
how
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Is that in the Bible? I mean, I never noticed that reading the Bible.
Did you, when you were on the library, did you read the scriptural references that went with that?
Yeah, they don't. No, there's hardly any, actually.
There is actually scriptural references that go along with that. If I could, if this is okay with you, if I could take either your name and number or your name and your address.
Well, I don't live near enough there, but how about my email?
Email is fine, sure.
Okay. Yeah, it's just to say that I've read the Bible like for decades, and I've never gotten any idea like that. I was just wondering, is it kind of one of those secret? Are you like a secret? Like they have secret knowledge of?
I'm sorry?
I mean, do they have their own way of?
I'm sorry, you're fading out really bad.
Okay, is that better now?
Yes, that's better.
Yeah, that's why it just kind of perplexes me, because it's such an epic thing. You know, you'd think anybody reading the Bible would be able to see that, so that we could follow the right slave or whatever. But I never noticed that in the Bible at all. Do you need the publications to kind of guide you through that? Is that what it is?
No, it's actually I'm getting ready to go out in the field ministry. And so we're leaving the building right now.
Okay.
And that's one of those subjects where I would like to just sit down and go over that.
Sure.
Because I don't want to share anything with you that's incorrect.
Do you think anybody's ever seen that from the Bible apart from their reasonings or publications?
Ask that question again because I'm not sure I'm following you.
Well, how do you think other people can see that Jesus appointed Watchtower in 1919 from just reading the Bible?
The way that you are framing that to me is so.
It's the most obvious question about it. I mean.
So the way that the scriptures are designed, the way that the scriptures speak about it is that when Jesus was enthroned as king in 1914, because this is really a very deep subject, but when Jesus was enthroned as king in 1914, his first action, according to Revelation, was to remove Satan the devil and all of his demons from the heavens down to the vicinity of the earth. The second thing that began to take place was him coming down and looking at the earth to see those who were properly instructing from God's word, the Bible, making the effort to share the truth.
Yeah, so I did see that one part in the article. It says that the issue, what made him decide on them was the serving of the right sort of food at the proper time.
Right.
Now, you know what that made? Could I ask a question about that? You know what made me think of when I read that? The most recent book they were distributing at that time, it was called The Finished Mystery. Have you ever read it?
My mom has it. I haven't personally read it.
Oh, I would really encourage you to read it because this is so crucial to this argument. It says right here, I'm reading this from the website, the serving of food with the right sort of food at the proper time was the issue. It had to be according to this that a decision must be rendered by the returned master. Now, The Finished Mystery is very interesting, and I would really encourage you to look at it. If you actually have the hard copy that you can look at.
Yeah, my mom has the entire series of that.
Yeah.
Listen.
So if you read it and you think to yourself, that's what they were teaching at that time. That's what Jesus chose them about. I mean, I know it's long. I mean, I can give you some highlights. I have a little bit thing of highlights here from it.
I'm curious. I'm curious first. What was your question?
About Jesus choosing them in 1919. It's so incredible.
No, I was actually sharing something with you, and you interrupted me and asked me if you could ask a question.
Yeah. But
then you made a statement, so I'm curious what the question was.
I was just asking. You were talking about 1914. I forgot how I got into that, but yeah, we were bringing up criteria as to why Jesus chose them. I forgot something you said kind of triggered that in my mind.
Right.
So yeah. Oh, I would definitely. I hope you can look at the book. I mean, that's very cool that you have the actual copy.
Okay. So what is the question that you're looking to get answered right now? Because I feel like more you're trying to tell me what I should do.
Oh no! I mean,
really
it's
I'm not following the conversation.
Well, it's the spiritual food that Jesus chose them on the basis of. It's the spiritual food that they were distributing at that time when he chose them.
So do you know what the spiritual food was that was being distributed at that time?
Well, yeah, I've read some highlights, and I've read parts of the finished mystery. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So do you have a disagreement with the spiritual food that was being distributed at that time?
Yeah, I mean, you guys don't even teach half of the stuff anymore. Like it says they said Michael the Archangel is the Pope.
Okay, so
all kinds of things like that. It's filled with that. It's not just one thing. Jesus began to reign as king in 1878.
I feel like you're just trying to share information with me more so than really having any questions.
Well, isn't that relevant? Isn't that relevant to 1919? I mean, you're the one. It came up.
But here's the situation. I feel like you are trying to instruct me as to what I should do or what I should know. I'm very, very comfortable in what I know, and I practice it, and I believe it. And if there's a disagreement here, that's okay.
Okay.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You can go over that information and choose to stop there if you wish. If there's questions involved that you would like answers to, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But I'm not going to question my faith because I study every single day of my life.
Well, I think
I
think it would make you very uncomfortable if you saw that the food that Jesus
really
chose them
but
by. It really is shocking. It really is shocking. I mean, it's just a wild book.
I would suggest that if you're really interested, don't stop your research in a book that was written in the early 1900s.
Yeah, when Jesus chose them on the basis of what they were teaching. Okay?
Okay. Well, apparently this is more of an argument, or I'm not sure. But
I'm not arguing about anything. I just hope you'll look at the book, okay?
I'm not interested, but thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Kingdom Hall.
Hi, I just have a question I was wondering if someone could help me with.
Maybe.
Do you have a minute?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I was reading some things on the website. Seems like Jehovah's Witnesses talk about it a lot, jw.org.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a section that even has a lot of their books from before and all kinds of stuff on there. So that's really cool. But anyways, I was kind of amazed by this whole idea that Jesus was like searching out all the religions and picked them in 1919. Have you ever heard that?
No, not really.
Oh, well, it's in this book on there called God's Kingdom of 1,000 Years Has Approached. So that's on the website. And it says that the way he decided that they were like the true religion was the quality of the spiritual food they were serving. Yeah. Well, that was really interesting because I looked into what spiritual food they were serving at that time, in like around that time before 1919, and just found things like for example, in the book they were printing at that time, they said that Jesus is the Alpha and Omega of Revelation. I mean, I didn't know they ever taught that.
I can't. I'm familiar with that book, but I haven't, looked at it for a long time.
Oh, yeah. So Jesus would choose them if they were teaching Jesus is God, because Alpha and Omega is God in Revelation 1:8 and some other verses. Why wouldn't that be like a major problem to him if he's really Michael the Archangel?
We don't believe that they're equal.
Yeah, they don't teach he is the Alpha and Omega anymore. I mean, the spiritual food. I mean, it's really interesting. They were teaching in that book also that Charles Russell was the faithful and wise servant.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a false claim, right? According to what they teach now.
I'm not familiar, with that book that much. I haven't read it for probably years.
Yeah, they were teaching at that time also that Jesus had already come in 1874.
Yeah, we feel that his second coming took place in 1914.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is when Jesus chose them, and it was the reason he chose them was based on the spiritual food they were providing at that time.
I'm not familiar with that book that much, So
that doesn't change anything if you're just because you're not familiar with it. But what's your thought on that? I mean, here's another one. It was in the book. Michael the Archangel is the Pope. That's on page 188.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that at all.
Well, I mean, it's still in there whether you're not familiar with it or not. I mean, what's your thought about that? How could that be? I mean, that Jesus chose them.
Well, we don't claim to be infallible.
I wasn't asking about that. I was asking how can they claim Jesus chose them based on the spiritual food they were providing at that time with such, unusual teachings.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, do you have the book yourself?
I don't have it personally. I could download it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Finished Mystery? No, they don't have that on their website. They wouldn't want that to be on there. That might be, but you can find it online, like PDF files, or there's a site called archive.org, and they're not any religion, or they just archive, for historical information. So I think they would have that on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, maybe you can check it out. I'm so curious why Jesus would pick them. It seemed like they were a different religion at that time.
Yeah,
it's so different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the nations were going to fall in 1920, it says in there, and the Great Pyramid confirms the fact that the time of harvest has come. Were they into the pyramid?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, yeah, I was just wondering about that, because it's always good to look into the origins of things, Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they tell people to examine the origins of everything, like Christmas and, the Trinity and things like that. So I guess you should examine the origins of the Jehovah's Witnesses too, right?
If you'd like, yeah.
Yeah, I did like to. It was really interesting. Russell was also called the last messenger of the church, along with, which is really funny. There's all these guys that believe in the Trinity, who they say are the seven messengers of Revelation. Paul, John, Arius, except for Arius, Waldo, Wycliffe, Luther, and Russell. So I think that's really interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, well, maybe check it out sometime. And there's some websites have kind of highlights. You know, I'm not thumbing through the book right now. I'm looking at highlights, and they give the page numbers and things like that. Maybe you could find that. Well, thanks for talking to me about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, God bless you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.